Everton are one club that are building a new stadium at the moment in time. They're still waiting for their PSR situation to be completely resolved after the outstanding issue that's been ongoing. When do you think we could maybe see a resolution to that?
Yeah, well, there was a piece in the Liverpool Echo this week saying that it has not yet been resolved. Well, that in itself is not a revelation because it's an independent commission. We will get the decision published, so there won't be any debate as to whether they publish the decision. So we will know when it is resolved. But I got the impression from that article that the hearing hasn't even taken place yet. And we know that the timetables, once you've done a hearing, you know that it needs kind of between 4 and 8 weeks to get a decision minimum. And this situation is quite complex and technical. It's all around interest on stadium loans or other loans and whether you could attribute them to the stadium. So it's something that may require quite a lot of time for the independent commission to determine. The issue there is when you just, and I think part of it is likely to be that some of the counsel for the Premier League on the Everton case are currently in the City case. So Adam Lewis, KC, who is the lead Premier League barrister, he's on the City case at the moment. I wonder whether there's a diary issue in terms of, we obviously can't be in two places at one time, and you will have to wait for the City case to finish. But look, in any event, once if you think about the timetable, we're going to get in a situation where this is going to extend beyond January. And after an appeal, this could go on for quite some time. Now, the issue that the Premier League have got is some of the consequences of this Everton case around interest impacts the calculation for the season just gone, 23-24. And they're going to have to make decisions around 23-24 PSR in January. So you could have this situation where nobody's really sure whether Everton are okay or are not okay in respect of 23-24, because this case in respect of interest has not yet been resolved. So I'm surprised it's still going on. I mean, if you remember, this was maybe February or March. This was all tabled. I'd have to go back and look at the exact dates, but it's been months. And so I'm very surprised I've not had the hearing. But that does seem to be the case. It's going to cause knock-on issues, I think, unless the case is dropped. It may be that the intention is to drop that case and for everybody to move on. That's another potential. Certainly, I think Everton fans are getting to the point where they very much want that to be the case. And think it's fair for that to be the case, given everything that they've been through. But there's no sign at the moment that the Premier League have dropped the case either. So we are in limbo.
And then Friedkin is reportedly set to make senior Everton staff reapply for their jobs, and Dyche's position is set to be reviewed according to reports. Is that quite a surprising move, given that the takeover still has some way to go before it is complete, that those things are coming out?
Well, there's been various stories around that have suggested that the takeover is close. I mean, we had a story last week about the process to find a new chief executive, the hiring of Nolan Partners. Nolan Partners are a very well-known recruiter of senior sports execs, and they have spoken to people. So I think that story must be true, because I think that's how it would have got out into the Athletic. If that's true, I would therefore think that Friedkin is getting quite close to doing the deal. So you would think that there would be a whole host of first steps that are being taken. That said, making general staff reapply for their jobs seems like an odd first move. And particularly, it feels like an odd first move whilst you don't have a chief executive in place. That feels like something that the chief executive would be deciding on day one, as opposed to the new owner awaiting the new executive. Because I think one of the first things the executive would want to do is to have a look around kick the tires, and understand the quality of the people in the organisation. So, two aspects in summary. I would think, yes, Friedkin must be quite close, just because of some of the actions being taken, but maybe take that story with a pinch of salt. I don't know. It doesn't sound quite right, but until we've got it's very, very quiet on the Everton side at the moment, given everything that's going on, given the thing we've just spoken about in terms of stadium interest, the change of ownership, the approvals that are being waited for, and the funding of the organisation. So they will be low on cash right now. There's no question that as we get through November and coming up to the November payroll, that will be a challenging period if they hadn't stocked up on cash in the summer, because there's no money coming in right now. This is a low point of cash in a football club. It's why we've seen over the last couple of weeks Aston Villa raise some cash from their shareholders, Newcastle raise some cash from their shareholders, because they have to pay the bills. And we don't know what's happened with Everton. No equity's been put in, but I suspect some debt facilities have been extended to them from Friedkin to allow them to pay the bills. But all of that is very quiet. So I think we just have to wait and see what happens really with Everton.